Hello, everyone. This is Nadia talking about language again. This time, I would like to give a full introduction to what linguistics is. And I'm going to actually start by saying what the problem has been so far for myself and for people trying to improve their language um, has been. And it's the same as, many things that we try to improve and train on distractions. So I just think of like a very busy, street or area and place, and you are trying to, improve something that is not very um, automatic, if we can say. It only gets automatic after some time and after some training. So here's the background of what's kind of going on when you are trying to improve a language. And first thing we will talk about is phonetics. And this is basically the basic unit of sound. So I'm going to try to use Arabic as our example in this presentation. And so these green areas in the map, this is probably where you will hear Arabic sounds, or what we call now alphabets, and there's 28 of them. So this is just basically the actual study of the sounds themselves. And after that, you get into phonology, which is basically how you put these sounds together. So when you start learning Arabic, you are actually going to see that there are some sounds that come side to side or come together, and some that don't. So after a while, you'll be able to assess whether you have the right vocabulary by seeing whether, these two sounds sound like a familiar Arabic kind of word, if that makes sense. And then there are sounds and, letters that will not come near each other. And so if you look at this little map here of, I think, an area in one of the Arabic countries where you might be going from one area to another and they would be pronouncing, different words differently. And then after that, we get into the basic word that actually forms a meaning. And so here you are forming a word, but what we're learning here is, what is this word made up of? Not in terms of sounds, but in terms of meaning. So you'll have a word that has something that comes in the first part of the word, and then the middle part of the word, and possibly end part of the word. And in Arabic, you'll see that the basic word is usually not a noun. It's usually the past verb. So I have met a student who was awesome in the past, and he actually just made a list of past tense verbs, and he learned, Arabic pretty well because he had the, basic, form of words, and then he can basically go from there. And after you kind of see how the words work, you get into meanings. Some people kind of talk about sentences before meanings, but I think that if you have some words that can come near each other and form a meaning, and like say 2 or 3 words, um, as a phrase, somebody will understand you. And so that might be, um, to me, I don't know, to me, this is more important than knowing how to form a grammatical sentence. So before we get into sentences, I think semantics and the meaning of these words and the words that come together, that is going to be next in you know your language training stages, we can call them. So here we have an example of an area of you know Arabic speaking people, that red area over there, where, for example, they'll have, a different word that they use for example, the word tomato. And so if you know that word, you'll be able to deal with tomatoes and purchase tomatoes easily. But if you, for example, learned Arabic in a different area and then came and said, a different word for tomato, you might have some problems. So basically, this is where semantics, or the meanings of words and phrases, comes along in your learning. And here, I had to bring what we call a syntax tree, and this is where now you're learning sentence forming. And so this is something that I'm sure people who study linguistics and syntax will feel very, very excited about, because you learn how to basically classify words that come in a specific order in a language. And so here, if you kind of look at it, looking or starting from your right to left, because that's how the Arabic sentence flows, from right to left. You start kind of here with your noun, and then verb, and then kind of a prepositional phrase. So different languages and stuff will have different orders in their sentence. So syntax, lots of fun. And here, what we're gonna get into after that is the usage of language. And so now you're going a little bit, you're zooming out a little bit from the basic meaning, which was semantics, into the social meaning or contextual meaning of language. And so I borrowed a map here from IELTS. And so why I like this map is because you can think about the pragmatics that happens in different areas and different places. So how language is used, for example, in a post office, and then how it's used in a pet shop, how you use it in a museum. And so this is where a lot of people might drop out when they're learning a language, because now it's like, I need to learn different things and different rules, not rules, but different customs for different areas. So it's fun when you're studying it, academically, but once you're trying to use it, unless you're doing it for fun, or you're someone who is, kind of enjoying the process more than like assessing yourself and being hard with yourself, this is probably going to be interesting, and fun for some people experience. And finally, we're zooming in now into what is called discourse analysis. So let's say you are sitting with an Arabic speaking group, and you're kind of just listening or recording or, just kind of watching what they're saying. This is where you can learn how to analyze the speaking that's happening in that setting. And so once you can get to this part and, analyze what people are saying, or not just what they're saying, but what they mean, then you're at a good level of language. And so, for example, in some Arabic countries, you'll have places where people meet to make big decisions, just like any other place. You know, um, so this is like a very traditional place where this can happen, or it can be in a more formal place. And so um, collective decision making is kind of important, especially in the religion of Islam. So if you can kind of sit and just listen and see, where they're getting their, um, thoughts and decisions from, then you can actually learn a lot um, about language. The final kind of thing that we learned when it comes to language, linguistics, and all this beautiful stuff is second language acquisition. And so there are theoretically 5 levels to it. And once you can kind of get through these stages, then you might really enjoy being around in Arabic speaking places and areas around the world. And so I'll stop this video here and hopefully can get into the 5 stages in the next video. Thank you for watching, and if you have any questions or any comments, please feel free to leave them.